Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something literally monumental. We are taking on a topic of truly epic proportions. Since the very dawn of humanity, for as long as we've been looking up at the stars, there's been this deep, historical tension. For centuries, science and religion have been framed as ultimate rivals in what is arguably the greatest debate in human history, science versus God. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through this material today, because we're going to look closely at both sides of this incredible journey, and we're going to do it without taking sides. Our goal here is pure understanding.
It all starts right here, with this one fundamental question that has echoed through every single civilization across the globe. How did everything begin? It's beautifully simple, right? Yet it's arguably the most profound mystery of our entire existence. This single question is what has driven humans to build towering temples and launch incredibly complex space telescopes, all in the shared quest for an answer.
So let's break this down. We basically have two traditional, seemingly rival approaches to finding the truth. On one side, you have the idea that the universe was created by a divine intelligence which relies on faith. On the other side, the concept that everything simply emerged through the blind laws of nature, relying strictly on testable evidence. Now, we've always been told they're enemies, but as we go through this explainer together, I want you to just keep this in the back of your mind. Are they truly enemies, or are they actually searching for the exact same truth just from completely different directions?
To really grasp this, we've got to rewind time. Section 1, the dawn of belief. Let's look at early human history.
Just try to put yourself in the shoes of early humans for a second. Imagine experiencing these massive natural phenomena without any modern scientific knowledge whatsoever. A sudden, violent lightning strike, the sun entirely disappearing during a terrifying solar eclipse, destructive earthquakes literally leveling your settlement. People naturally and quite desperately searched for explanations for these terrifying events. And without modern tools, well, they naturally attributed these massive, uncontrollable forces to powerful gods who were actively controlling nature.
And you know what? That framework was incredibly successful. Religion didn't just explain the lightning. It provided deep meaning, profound comfort, and essential moral guidance. It successfully united entire civilizations and actively shaped early cultures. Make no mistake, for thousands of years, faith was humanity's absolute greatest explanation of reality. It was the primary lens through which we understood our entire world.
But human history is dynamic. It never stands still. Eventually, we arrive at Section 2, the scientific revolution, marking a massive shift in human thinking.
The really crucial point here is a radical shift in our curiosity. Instead of asking that ancient question, who caused this, a whole new breed of thinkers started asking, how does this work? That is a massive leap. This specific change in questioning is what perfectly defined the rise of the scientific method. It was no longer about assigning a face or a personality to a natural event. It was all about uncovering the invisible mechanics operating behind it. And once that shift happened, wow, the floodgates just opened. Look at this staggering list of breakthroughs. Gravity, electricity, evolution, atoms, DNA, black holes, the expanding universe. Mathematics literally became the language of nature, marking a sudden, massive acceleration in our understanding of things. Every single one of these discoveries revealed something profound, that nature actually operates on precise, unbending laws. Which brings us to the core ethos of science. You see, science doesn't ask for your faith. It doesn't ask you to just believe what you're told. It relies 100% on testable evidence. It asks you to observe, to run the experiment, and to actually test the claims for yourself.
Now, of course, you can't introduce a radically new way of understanding the entire universe without ruffling a few feathers along the way. Section 3, when worldviews collide, science versus tradition.
Let's take early astronomy as our first primary example of this ideological collision. For centuries, religious interpretations firmly held that the Earth was the center of creation, a special stationary stage. Then early astronomy comes along and reveals, actually, our planet revolves around the sun. Science completely upended a fundamental belief, and as you can imagine, that caused massive friction between early astronomers and religious authorities.
Later on, that friction intensified with this man, Charles Darwin. He proposed the theory of evolution by natural selection. This was a very direct challenge to the idea that humans and animals appeared instantly through divine creation. Instead, science showed that life evolved gradually over billions of years. Now, a lot of religious communities outright rejected these ideas at the time, but others adapted, accepting that scientific discoveries simply explain the underlying mechanics of creation.
Which naturally brings us to the ultimate question. Section 4, can science prove God? Let's talk about testing the untestable.
We've seen science explain lightning, planetary orbits, and even human biology. So, can science actually prove God exists? Well, the honest, straightforward answer from our source material is no. But crucially, science also cannot prove God does not exist. To understand why, we really need to look at the word supernatural. God, according to most religions, is considered supernatural. Scientific inquiry, by its very definition, is entirely bound to investigating natural phenomena. Because supernatural claims cannot currently be tested in modern laboratories, they fall strictly outside the rigid limits of science.
I want to reinforce this vital mental model because it clears up so much of the confusion out there. These two disciplines are attempting to answer fundamentally different kinds of questions. Science is an absolute masterclass in answering how. How does gravity work? How do cells divide? Religion, on the other hand, steps in to answer why. Why are we here? Why is there something rather than nothing? Keeping that distinction in mind, let's break a very common assumption. Section 5. Scientists and their faith. Let's look at history's greatest minds. To ground this abstract philosophical debate, let's look at the concrete lives of some of these brilliant people. Isaac Newton, the man who figured out gravity, believed the universe reflected a divine order. Gregor Mendel, literally the father of genetics, was a Catholic monk. Georges Lemaitre, the guy who first proposed the Big Bang Theory, was actually a Catholic priest. And Albert Einstein, while rejecting a personal God, spoke incredibly deeply about a profound cosmic mystery. Of course, many famous scientists have also been atheists or agnostics. But all of those wonderfully diverse personal lives point to one simple truth. The scientific method itself is entirely neutral. It doesn't demand a stance on God. It really doesn't care if you're a monk, a priest, or a strict atheist. It only requires data. It only requires evidence.
So, where does this dialectical timeline leave us today? Section 6. The Modern Perspective. Let's look at how these domains coexist.
Today, millions of scientists are deeply religious, and millions of others are not. In the modern era, these domains often peacefully coexist side by side. Many people today believe science and religion comfortably answer those different questions we discussed earlier. Science perfectly explains the nuts and bolts, the pure mechanics of the universe, while religion steps into the abstract, exploring things like purpose, morality, hope, and meaning.
The ultimate takeaway here is so paramount. The tension we often see highlighted in the world today is mostly interpretive. Conflict generally arises not from the scientific method itself, but from how we humans interpret both scientific data and religious texts. Perhaps the real intellectual mystery isn't forcing yourself to choose one side over the other, but actually taking the time to deeply understand both.
Because ultimately, whether you lean toward a divine creation shaping the cosmos, or you lean strictly toward the natural expansion of the Big Bang, one undeniable fact remains. Our universe is absolutely astonishing. Both faith and science share a core human desire. Science continues rigorously searching for answers, and faith continues searching for profound meaning.
Humanity, despite all of our historical debates and differing worldviews, just keeps asking questions. So, as you continue your own learning journey, ask yourself, regardless of where we look for the answers, is this very pursuit of truth what truly unites us in the end? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating topic with me. Keep asking questions and keep learning.